So this is a 6 off day chat sort of thing. A little bit of a recap and then everything going on in the NBA. But I triggered by something I read, so we're going to start there. As you well know, the Lakers owned the Nets yesterday while we won. And Kyrie Irving and Dennis Schroeder got into a little pissing match and got ejected. Now, here's what I want to read. NBA referee Zarba explained the situation. He said, after being assessed the first technical foul, both players were warned against to move on. And so when Irving couldn't stop yelling at Schroeder, he was then assessed the second technical and ejected. And then after Irving's ejection, if you look at the video, Schroeder kind of waves goodbye to him in a taunting manner. And that's why he was issued a second technical foul and ejected. What the fuck? Oh, what is this? Like, how can you legitimately, to a pool reporter or to anyone, as that comes out of your mouth, how does that not sound stupid? There were no fists. There were no anything. I can understand issuing the first technical foul to kind of try and cool it down. I can kind of understand that. But at the same time, if there are no fist or anything, if there's no real violence, we don't know what's said, but if nothing is going on, you don't have the right to interject yourself into that situation. Like, what are you doing? They don't pay to see you! Like my man DJ Eastwood said, they're not paid to see you. They're paid to see the players. You're paid to see what Stephen A. Smith calls the greatest box show in office and Kyrie Irving. They're paying to see two top teams playing competitive basketball. And yeah, a little bit of chirping, a little bit of street talk. They're not there to see you. They're really not. And the whole taunting thing, get that out of the rule book. Please, we've had so many technicals of a guy with a mean mug after a dunk. Like, take that, Tyler Johnson. We've had so many technical fouls this year, it's absurd. The fans do not pay to see you. It's not the referee association. No one honestly gives a fuck. Your job is to stay out of the window to make accurate calls to regulate the game. That's it. That's where it begins and that's where it ends. No one paid box office tickets to see you. And if that hurts the ego a little bit, then tough shit. Like, obviously you don't want a situation to spiral out of control, but they're two adults. Let them control themselves, or see if they can control themselves, where it just goes from, where it just stays a smack talk. Don't inject yourself as if you have to be a parent or a guardian or something, which is basically what that is, and that's fucking sad. Come on. You know, this whole thing has been around the league. Every fan has come together. You can even have a Sixer fan and a Celtic fan, or a Sixer fan and a Laker fan come together and be like, this is bullshit. This is absolute madness. And Adam Silver needs to step in. Adam Silver, you want to know why the ratings are going down in the NBA? Shit like that. That was on national television. That disgrace of an ejection is on national television. Your fans are seeing your referees be unable to compose themselves in a game, where they feel they had to be Kyrie Irving's mom instead of a fucking official. I just got triggered by reading that when I was on ESPN, and that just triggered the hell out of me. The NBA refs this year are out of control. They're undisciplined. It's ridiculous. For that, if you want a little morning rant, we will start off there. The other thing we're going to start off on, which I left off last night, but I feel like it's really important because I listened to, I mentioned Ben's comments earlier, but I was relaying what RB and Philly Mike said in their broadcast, in their live stream watch party. NBC Sports Philadelphia posts video, and I'm able to listen to the video, and it was an epiphany. I understand now how Ben Simmons is thinking of how he's playing the position. And for those who say, oh, you're casual, etc., I can say this. Ben Simmons plays the game of basketball point guard the way an old head would like it to be played, but not the way it should be played in the 21st century. Put it this way, Ben Simmons is averaging 5 assists in 33 minutes in April. So here's the comparison, don't be offended. Eric Snow, he's literally playing the game, his own words, I want to pass, I'm not in it for the accolades, etc. To be a non-threatening option at the guard position, he is playing the game as though he were Eric Snow. Not 6'10" Rajon Rondo was actually a threat to get in the paint. This dude is seriously out here as 6'10" Eric Snow. And if you think about how accurate that comparison is, Eric Snow had Allen Iverson to do creating for him. Here, I wouldn't call Joel Embiid a creator in terms of a passer, but definitely as a scorer, right? And then you have Tobias Harris picking up his playmaking. A 6'10" Eric Snow is a bust. If he continue to play this way, this 12, 5, and 4 shit, it's a bust. 6'10" Eric Snow. No, you did not draft that number 1 overall. Yeah, that's what it is. With your low assist numbers, you are 6'10" Eric Snow. Is that valuable? I guess. Again, but only valuable if you have other ball handlers around a guy like that. Other creators around a guy like that. Other scorers around a guy like that. Because he damn well isn't going to fend in the ball on the top. The reason I bring this up is that point guard in 2021 is so very different from point guard in 2001. Point guard 2001, you could play Eric Snow, you could play Aaron McKee, you could play these guys who aren't a threat off the dribble and have your star Allen Iverson. Back then, low scoring affairs. Back then, you could do that. You could do that back then. The game today, when LeBron James said chicks dig the long ball, I want to explain the full context of what the three-point shot has done to the game. The game is more spaced open. The court is wider now because the shooters obviously stretch the floor. At the same token, however, this has put much more emphasis on team defense than man defense in the past. In the past, you could stand in your corner, stand in your dunker spot, because you weren't going to get help defense from the weak side. Why would you? You had the Vince Carter, the Tracy McGrady's, the Marburys, the Iversons, in one-on-one basketball. Even if you did want to send a second guy, a lot of those guards were good enough on the bounce, on the move, to make a dump pass to a Dikembe Mutombo, make a dump pass to a Kevin Garnett when Stephon played with Garnett in the Timberwolves, or Latrell Sprewell with Garnett, or Steve Nash did the pick and roll thing with Amari Stoudemire. Back then, you could do that. Back then, you could hang around the dunker spot, because you weren't going to get weak side help defense. But now in today's NBA with shooters, the weak side will collapse. They will collapse even though Ben Simmons is not a good finisher at the rim, which is equally as hilarious, but we'll say that for another time. The fact is that defenses in the 21st century are going to collapse down. And because of that, You have to be a threat to score to set up your teammates. Otherwise, what's going to happen, and what does happen in Ben Simmons running into a crowd games, he drives, he gets himself trapped, he picks his dribble up, and everyone is covered. Like, you can't play point guard with no off-the-dribble ability in 2021. In 2001, you could have gotten away with it. In 2001, you had the Eric Snows, the Jeff McGinnises, etc., Derek Fisher. You could have low on the bounce ability in 2001. It wasn't required. It's required now in today's NBA for a primary ball handler. You don't want me to use the word point guard? Okay, we will exclude the word point guard. And we will go with everything else. Facilitator, playmaker, you're averaging 5 assists in the month of April. I think you averaged 6.7 assists in the month of March. Where's this playmaking? Where is it? It damn well isn't in the offense. The offense that ranked 13th. The offense that only put 94 points on the Pelicans. Don't call yourself a playmaker if you don't have the ability off the bounce in 2021. You're not a playmaker. You're a passer, but you're not a playmaker. Two very distinct differences. Thinking Basketball came up with a stat called box creation. I would have loved to have calculated it myself for Ben Simmons this year, but the calculation is too damn long. But I have a healthy suspicion, given the fact that box creation, as Thinking Basketball explained it, is a combination of, again, what I just talked about, your ability to attack off the dribble, off the bounce, and your ability to pass. Not just the pass, not just the score, to find the nadir medium in there. And I don't think that Ben Simmons has had a good box creation this year. In fact, I can pretty much guarantee you that he hasn't with every complicated pass. Now, there was a stat that came up that said shooters are shooting better with Ben on the court than without. How did that correlate? The drive and kick game, but I honestly think that's going to end. To be honest with you, why would you send the second man down on Ben Simmons? You would send the second man down in other situations. But if I'm coaching against the Sixers, I'm like, dare Ben to beat me over the top. If Ben Simmons is able to go off on me, great. Well, I'm not sending in help defense to stop Ben Simmons driving. Why? Why would I send a second guy? And if I do want a second guy, why would I send a wingman rather than send my big man at the rim? Why would I do that? So a lot of Ben Simmons B-boy creations don't come from him. He hasn't beaten the initial defender in stride. It comes from bad team defensive principle to bring a man down on a driver who half of the time doesn't even finish good. It doesn't make sense. I mentioned this when I was discussing with Dalen and Broads. I was like, I don't know why they're doing it. It makes no sense. It's not Allen Iverson or some elite driver. It's Ben Simmons. What are you doing? So yeah, half of the time I don't know why they send the second guy down. Because it makes absolutely zero sense. But they do. And that's how you get the open free balls off of Ben's driving game. The other thing is change of direction. Now, he has shown a little bit of change of direction lately. Even in this game, he had a little nice up and under move. I would like to see Ben Simmons utilize more dribble ability than he actually has shown to this point in his career. Because again, it's all about your threat off of the dribble. And you have none because you literally are a straight line driver. I would like to see more nuance and more fluidity in your drives to be a better driver at the rim. But my whole point is, this idea that Ben Simmons, it's a tale of two things when it comes to evaluating Ben's point guard play. A lot of people want to assert that Ben is playing the position just fine. He is playing the position fine if that's how it was played 20 years ago. Where literally, Ben Simmons is playing the point guard position just like Brett Brown talked about having two players in the post most interesting him in the double team. That worked 20 years ago. Same thing here. A non-value off-ball point guard, you could play that way 20 years ago. You can't play that way today. You have to be a threat on the ball or off the ball. You have to be valuable to your team or the offensive end of the court if you're going to call yourself a point guard. Otherwise, as I said in this last video, just move the power forward. If you move the power forward, you can be off the ball in the dunker spot all you want. And it's not a problem. And that is essentially technically what happened. Steph Curry had his best point guard game maybe in his life. 6 assists to 1 turnover. I thought that Steph Curry did a great job. But understand that this is not acceptable basketball for the most part of this month. I said last night that Ben did what he needed to do. But I am going to come against this idea that Ben Simmons playing the point guard position the way he has and the way he wants to is something that will actually translate against even the 8th seed of the Eastern Conference this year. If you're going to be a ball handler, you need to have value on the ball. It's as simple as that. It is as simple as you have to be a threat on the ball. And if you want to be a Derek Fisher, have a catch-and-shoot game that you don't have, or be a deadly cutter off of the ball. J.J. Redick told you this a couple of years ago. Why haven't you implemented a cutting game to your arsenal? That is a way that you can feather the team of the defense without having the ball in your hand. And even when it comes to that dunker spot, sometimes Ben Simmons doesn't position himself too well. Like the one screen frame, he was underneath the rim, literally underneath the rim. And when I thought about it, I'm like, Joe can't make that pass. Even if he makes this pass, you're not finishing. You're too damn deep. So he doesn't understand post positioning real well either. It's just, Ben's game is so broken down right now, and people are trying to paper it over. That playing 2001 Eric Snow in 2021 NBA basketball is something that's a thing. It's not a thing. It doesn't work that way. Like, this is a problem that has to resolve itself before the playoffs start. We have to find out how we can best use this guy. If he wants to be Eric Snow at 6'10", he can play power forward. I mean, the solution there is obvious. Start George Hill, make Ben Simmons the power forward, and be done with it. In fact, Doc Rivers confessed that's what they did with the Thunder. Make Ben Simmons the power forward and be done with it. And stop calling him a facilitator. Because if he were a facilitator, he would have on-ball value. Go look at ESPN and the top 10 assist guy. And other than Draymond Green, who is a power forward, every one of them has some dribble drive ability. Some attack off the rim ability. He is not a point guard and he is not a facilitator. He is a passing big man. That's it. He is a big man in basketball. He's not a one. He's not a top of the key guy. He will never be able to access that skill set. He is a big man. And there's really nothing more to say on that discussion. He is a big man, not a one and not a facilitator, Doc. To be a facilitator in 2021, you have to attack off of the bounce. That isn't a Ben rule. That is everybody. Dame, LeBron, Harden, Luka, everybody. In today's game, if you can't access a triple threat position, you literally are not a facilitator. You're a good passer, but you're not a facilitator. Why did that trigger me again? Because I thought about what Ben Simmons said, and it gets me that he wants to be 6'10" Eric Snow. That is so far beneath what he can do personally, and it's far beneath what we need. Because when you had Allen Iverson, and they also had Keith Van Horn that year, You had other scorers to make up for it, and also they were great in transition, which this team is too. But Joel Embiid is not Allen Iverson, in the sense of he's not a ball handler who could create. Joel Embiid needs a creator on this team. He doesn't need an Eric Snow on this team. That's my thing. In a nutshell, how do we best benefit Joel Embiid? By Steph Curry playing the way he did last night. Steph Curry dribbling the ball on the string, getting some dumb passes for Joe, the high-low action between Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. That's what Joel Embiid needs. Joel Embiid needs easy buckets created for him, and you're not going to get easy buckets with the facilitator that can't attack off the top. If he doesn't like it, too bad. Improve your game or move over to the 4. Move over to the 4 permanently. Permanently. That's where he belongs. That's who he is. He's 6'10". He's a big man who belongs in the post. Not on the wing and not on the guard. He is a big man. I don't know. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous to call him a point guard. It's ridiculous to call him a facilitator. Because he's not. He is big, tall, passer guy. That's what he is. It's not even adjective anymore. It's literally what you are. You said it yourself. You want to play the game like Eric Snow. You are a big, tall, passer guy. And that's fine if Joel Embiid is doing Joel Embiid things. If Tobias Harris is doing Tobias Harris things. If Danny Green is hot and Steph Curry is hot, you could be big, tall, irrelevant passer guy. But literally, it's what happened with every loss. It's what happened with the Pelican loss. If that's not happening, if Joel Embiid has an off game, or if Steph Curry struggles, or if Danny Green struggles, big, tall passer guy becomes irrelevant. Because it is irrelevant in this day and age. But I'm actually thankful that Mark asked the question and that Ben responded the way he did. I now know his mindset is to be 6'10" Eric Snow. That should depress everybody. If that's his mindset, you can't outwork that. And with other people defending being 6'10" Eric Snow as some sort of accomplishment, this is what his career is going to be. And that's why I said, it's not Ben and shooters, it's Ben and scorers. Because he himself is not a threat off the dribble. Problem? Scorers, whether you like it or not, are more valued in this league than the big, tall passer guy. They cost more money. And we just put all that money into big, tall passer guy. That's why we're at George Hill instead of a difference maker. Because we put all that money in the big, tall passer guy. Look, all I want is for this guy to be a positive component to a championship window, and I don't know if you could do it by being 6'10" Eric Snow. Not 6'10" Manjamando. Manjamando was a threat to get to the rim. Like Mark said, we're winning. But when we're not winning, I want people to know that the reason we're not winning is that he's 6'10" Eric Snow. And I want people to know that's not a cause for celebration. We have now gone from Magic LeBron to 6'10" Eric Snow. That's how far we've fallen. 6'10" Eric Snow. 6'10" Eric Snow. No. It can't. Can't be this way. I hope we win this year. That's the only justification. You could be 6'10" Eric Snow if we win a championship. Or if we get to at least the Eastern Conference Finals. If you're 6'10" Eric Snow, we're out of the second round. I don't know what's going to happen at that point. Literally, I don't know what's going to happen at that point. So these next 20 plus games are all about seeing if he's going to get out of this 6'10 Eric Snow mindset, or if this is going to stay with him forever. Because if it is going to stay with him forever, then everybody is going to fall off that bandwagon, that hype. If you're 6'10 Eric Snow and that's all you want to be with your life, then that's a really shitty ass contract. The whole idea of you getting triple doubles, right? You're averaging less than half of 10 assists. So if you're going to call yourself a facilitator, please facilitate. We got the shooters now. We got the spread guys now. So come on. I know that yesterday is a blowout. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about your entire month up to this point. 6'10 Eric Snow, despite what other people might think, 6'10 Eric Snow is far below your talent level, number one. And number two, it's not going to cut it against the Brooklyn Nets. So yeah, that was my off-day morning rant about the refs and about point guard. In today's NBA, you can't be an Eric Snow and expect to be a good point guard. It's not 2001 anymore. Six of the universe, signing off.